Assalamu'alaikum, everyone. It has been so long since we have done just a little good old sit down, you know, tea time, just relax conversations, life updates, talks. So here I am to talk to you guys. So I'm going to try my best. Absolutely try my very, very, very best to upload this episode at least I wish I could say before January, like before 2024, but that's just pushing it because it's actually December 30. Girl, I'm not going to this. There's no way. Come on. I'm probably gonna edit this tomorrow. Like, let's see. If not, I at least want to get it like in January. Okay. Being hopeful, saying first week of January is like really ambitious. I will be realistic with myself and say at least in January. Nonetheless, I still feel like it'll be useful in January because January, that momentum is still going with the whole New Year's and stuff. So, inshallah, I hope that this can help someone. Honestly, guys, in this episode, I just kind of wanted to have like a more realistic episode, especially this time of year with like New Year's resolution and the year ending and everything. And so I want to first start off by saying that I hope that 2023 was a blessed and happy year for you. And I hope that it was a year that was good for you. I know that it was a really bad year for some, and I know there's a really good year for some. And I will say that in my entire years of existing, alhamdulillah for everything. That's all I'll say. But 2023 was one of those years that it reminded me, it felt like the world ended for me, like almost every month, especially this month. Like it was one of those really hard years for me. And it felt like I thought that it would get easier as time went on, and it didn't. And so 2023 was really hard for lots of reasons. I think it was hard for me personally. It was really hard for me on like a personal level with family, with some other things. It was hard in any direction. There was always hard, but I can't complain because shukr alhamdulillah, like there were still so many things that I was blessed with, so many things I didn't have to worry about. But I feel like it was really hard because of people. I feel like 2023 was hard for me because of people and emotions and feelings. And it wasn't only like from one place, it was from so many, so much hurt. I've lost a lot of relationships this year. And it's been hard. It's been really hard. It's like one of those years where I've lost so much that I feel like I don't understand who I am anymore. Why are we getting so dark like 2 minutes in? But that's kind of what I wanted to like talk about because I feel like whenever the New Year's time comes, and I've made episodes as well, and I always encourage people to like, set goals and be realistic and have resolutions. And of course, y'all know the whole accountability, hold yourself accountable. So like you guys know all these things. And I've made a bunch of episodes on them too. And so I don't want to sound like a verbatim broken machine telling you the same thing that you're seeing on TikTok and Instagram for like the past 2 weeks, where everybody's like, oh, 2024 is coming up, you need to level up your life. Like sometimes I just get sick of seeing that content. I get sick of seeing content where people talk about accountability and how you should do this and how you should do that, because I feel like sometimes, like, I'm not saying this sounds snooty. I'm about to go on an event. I'm not saying this sounds snooty, but like when you're already an accountable person, or you kind of already have built accountability in your life, though that content might be helpful for somebody who is not accountable, but to some point I feel like we need to talk about how it is absolutely okay to not force yourself to make a random New Year's resolution, or just something that doesn't feel fitting for you right now, or to even force yourself right now to make a resolution. I have said this in some of my oldest episodes. I'm a firm believer in believing that there's no time for change, right? So when the New Year's comes, I like that it's a new year. It's nice and it's like a nice fresh start. January is also when it's my birthday. So it's like I'm a new year, new age, new person. But at the same time, I feel like, yes, when the New Year comes, I do sit down and I do journal and I do this thing. Like, there's like social media recaps. I do yearly life recaps. So I'll literally write like 2023 wraps. And this was actually before I started podcasting. Y'all know when you have a podcast at the end of every year, even if you don't have a podcast, even if you just listen to stuff on Spotify, they give you those wraps where it's like, this is what you listen to the most. Oh, best time of year. It's like opening up presents, and it's so exciting. When I get the notification from Spotify, I remember I've opened up all of mine, I think, in class because I was so excited. I was like, yeah, show me right now. So, but anyway, those wraps are really exciting to read and see what your listeners like the most. Anyway, I always try to do those like wraps like at the end of every year, like just kind of wrapping up my year and thinking, like, this is what happened, this is what went wrong. And I'm gonna be honest, 2023's entry was like the most saddest one. Like, I couldn't even fake some things in there. I couldn't even be like, hey guys, hey journal. It was a tough year. But you know what they say. tough people last, tough times don't. No, I couldn't even lie like that because things were just so hard. And so some years it happens like that. But I always feel like when I think about 2023, you know how people just say like sometimes there's like certain ages, certain times in your life where it feels like the entire world just stopped. And I feel like for me, that was like 15. I always say that. It was 15 where I felt like the entire world stopped and like nothing made sense to me. And after 15, anything that ever happened to me, I was like, it's gonna be fine. Like, and life will go on. Because when the world ends for you and you wake up the next day, it doesn't matter. The world can end a bunch of times, but it won't matter. Because after you survived it the first time, you're like, it's okay. And I think it's so sad, but I think I can say that 19 was the second time in my life where I just felt like the world was ending. And it was like something new every month. But it's also like I can't complain. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not trying to complain. I'm just trying my best to be honest. Because I feel like at times we forget that the nature of this life is of hardship. And you'll have years of bliss and months of bliss. And I don't ever deny that. Shukr alhamdulillah, like Allah has been really good to me. I can't ever deny that. But what I can confidently say is that it felt like the world was ending for me again, but every day somehow, I don't know how, I got up, I prayed Fajr, and I went to school and I went on. And like things were hard. Some days were more harder than others. And I feel like this December was like the cherry on top, and December was probably like like the last straw, but even thinner than that. And it was also one of those things that I couldn't control. I couldn't fix it. I couldn't change it. And it wasn't like internal or like, oh, I'm dwelling on the past or I'm so sad someone left my life or I'm missing somebody or I wish something worked out. Like it was not a hindsight situation. It wasn't like I'm feeling depressed. It was an active situation where it was so painful to bear that every day things just got harder. And it wasn't like, oh, I'm just in my own head, in my own heart. No. Like, and that's what I feel like it was rough for, because it's not like it was just something in your mind or something in your heart and you can tell yourself like, oh, you know what, like it's in the past now. No, like it was actively developing in my life. And I was like, what am I supposed to do after this? Like I can't even bear it going through it right now. How am I gonna heal from this? And honestly, right now, I don't have the answer to that question, right? It's literally December 30, right? December 30, I think. Did I say that in the beginning? Or was it December 31? Let me just, you see, I'm out of it. December 30. Like, I don't have the answers to everything. But I just know that, like, as time goes on, like, always has been, like, Allah will help me. But this is the thing that I feel like a lot of people don't talk about. Like I feel like when the year comes to an end, everybody just wants to start throwing out like this annoying, constant, like repeat of accountability lectures and things. And like I've told you guys about accountability before. I've talked to y'all about accountability a lot. Scroll down my podcast. You'll find a bunch of episodes where I've mentioned it. And if I don't have an episode titled it, I guarantee I've talked about it in a bunch of my episodes before. Like I've talked about accountability a lot. I think that developing accountability is great. I think that once you develop it, your life changes. My life changed because I developed accountability. I think that if you want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help you and you want to change yourself, it all starts off with accountability of doing what you should do, even if you don't feel like it. Life is really going to go uphill from there. But I feel like we don't talk about how life is when accountability is not your problem. It's moreover of just you're in this awkward gap phase of figuring out who you are, and everybody wants to give you lectures of accountability. And pop psychology, I made an episode that talked about pop psychology before. That was like, I feel like at times we force ourselves to be overly self-aware. And I always say this, I think that being overly self-aware will literally ruin you. A lot of times people are really self-aware if they're bad, but they're not self-aware if they're good. And I just feel I've said this before, I just feel kind of annoyed by pop psychology and these accountability lectures, especially this time of year. So I'm just not looking at them anymore. Like anytime I see them, I scroll so fast. Because it's kind of like, it seems so mundane. It seems so this happens every year. It seems so, isn't this what you posted last year type thing. Now, again, I'm not trying to be rude or like look down on it upon anybody who struggles with accountability. That can be any of us. Accountability is very important. And I think in our deen, especially, gaining that sense of accountability and that sense of responsibility within yourself that I have to pray, I should get up and do it. I have to read Quran, I should get up and do it. I'm going to hold myself accountable to a set schedule. I'm going to hold myself accountable. whether that's working out, whatever. Like, I get that and I agree with that. And I will always tell people, develop accountability in you. It is one of the most valuable characteristics that you'll have. Accountability within you in your own day-to-day life and activities you have to get done, but accountability in your relationships to say, this is when I messed up. I'm going to hold myself accountable. This is what I did wrong. I've talked about accountability a lot, so I don't want to get into it too much. But my point is, it's important to have, but I feel like we should embrace and accept when we're at a certain place in our life where we don't really know what's coming next, especially this time of year, because I know that my episode might not hit home for everybody. Like, some people, if you just want to hear the accountability drive lecture, go ahead, go find someone else, or even scroll down. I've had some, but like, I kind of want to talk to the people who might feel the same way that I do. Like, sometimes accountability is not the issue. Sometimes it's, how do I accept that maybe right now, while everyone else is, super charged up, talking about, this is what I'm going to do, and this is how much I'm going to bench press, and this is what like, everybody's talking about their goals. How can I accept that I am where I am right now? And I feel like this is something that I'm kind of working on right now. And the way that I'm kind of doing it, of course, Chugi, is by not comparing myself to people. Because, I've set some goals in my life at certain ages that people have told me I was crazy to do, or that I've seen people set in their older years. I feel like when life kind of just changed for me, when I stopped comparing my way of life and where I wanted to go to people. Because there's no point in it, right? Cliche, but there really isn't. I can compare that I want to do my life in a certain way, but Allah's still going to make it happen in the way that it wants. And so what someone might accomplish when they are 25 that I probably got at 15, or vice versa, 25 and 15, that's just how things are, right? Me envying somebody on their journey, or me being like, I want to be like this person, it's not going to get the thing done for me. You know what I'm saying? Thinking about how you want to do that thing, or thinking about how you want that thing, or envying somebody for having that thing is not going to make you have it, right? Envying somebody for having a lot of money, envying somebody for having a career that you want is not going to get you the degree or the money that you want. If I'm envying somebody for having a certain career, I'm not going to wake up the next day and have that career. I'm not going to wake up the next day with a degree to have that career. It's not mine. The only way that I'm going to get things that I want is by working for them. And I feel like that's something that a lot of people do understand, but they're not willing to like apply in their life day to day. I also feel like this time of year, it feels kind of off not being like, hey, I have a resolution, this is what I'm doing. But I'm going to be very honest with you. I journaled like 2 nights ago, doing my little 2023 wrapped. And let me tell you, I had no resolution in there. Besides, I just want to do what makes me happy. And of course, under Islamic guidelines, nothing crazy, but I just want to let myself be. I don't feel a need to force myself to make a resolution, because all I want for myself right now is to just be comfortable, happy, and at peace. I just want peace, like inner peace. Like, of course, Islam has given me peace, and I feel like that's the whole reason why I'm here. But I think just that long term, sustained, quiet calmness piece, like just stepping back from things that don't serve me anymore, which I did a lot of this year, which is why I'm like this. But stepping back from the things that don't serve me anymore, which I'm very happy that I did this year, because that was a goal that I made in 2022 for 2023. I said I want to let go and step back from things that don't benefit me anymore, which I did. And in 2024, what I want to do is not sit here and dwell on what I left, not be sad on what I left, not reflect on what I left negatively, but instead think about my life. I feel like when you go through a lot of hardships, I talked about this on my IG broadcast. Sometimes when you go through a lot of hardships back to back, you feel like you don't understand who you are. Like, sometimes you feel like you lose a sense of identity. Like, the things you liked to do before, they don't interest you anymore. The things that made you laugh, they don't make you laugh anymore. The way that you like to hang out with your friends just impulsively doesn't make you feel happy anymore. Like, you just want to stay at home more, even if there's no reason. You just don't want to do anything anymore, even if there's no reason. Like, sometimes you wake up and you just feel tired and you just want to collapse back on your bed, right? And like, I feel like in this phase of life, pushing yourself and, beating yourself down and being like, oh my God, you need to man up, become an alpha male, become an alpha woman. I don't even know. Like, you need to man up and do all this and do all that and hold yourself accountable and make all these 2024 goals. I just don't feel like it's actually productive. I don't think there's a point in setting unhealthy New Year's resolutions. Not at all. What's the point of me forcing myself on like a week 2 fake adrenaline rush saying that I'm going to do something when deep down I'm hurting and I'm sad and I'm going through a hard time or something. And then 2 weeks in January, I'm feeling guilty for not sustaining what I said I'd do. Why should I do that? I learned this like ages ago about myself. And so I'm really realistic with what I said. And I'm really realistic with what I said. And when I said it, I always get it done, alhamdulillah. And I don't look at the New Year's as a time to just set things. I especially look at Ramadan actually as a time to set goals. Now, of course, there's nothing wrong with setting New Year's resolution. Again, just prefacing that. But I just feel like life is one of those things that you don't need a time for it. And I always tell people this. Like if in May, let's say in 2024 May, I'm sitting there, please, I hope that I'm not foreshadowing something earlier. Guys, in 2024 May, we will stitch this and come back to this because it's currently December, or by the time I upload this January. In 2024 May, if I decide that I want to change something drastic about my life, I don't want to wait till January to do it. I'm a type of person that, like, when I want to do something, I want to do it. And when I don't want to do it, I don't want to do it. So if I want to change my life then, I'm going to change it. May, that's it. And that's what I really want people to get out of this. If you're in a phase right now where you're 2023 isn't ending well. It isn't super beautiful. Maybe you faced a lot of trauma this year. Maybe you're not even well physically and you're in the hospital. Or maybe you figured out that you have a health problem or a health scare. Or you're going through like the worst divorce of your life. Like, please don't feel like you have to force yourself right now to give into these big hypes and these big resolutions and these big things that people are doing. Right now, I want your goal and your resolution to be is just to protect your peace, protect your heart, protect yourself, take care of yourself. You came out of something really traumatic, you came out of something that really hurt you, or you're just sad. Give yourself time. A new date coming shouldn't make you feel like all your emotions from 2023 are invalid and it's time to forget them. You're a growing human being. Every year on January 1, you're not rebirthed, okay? You're a growing human being. And I know that sometimes things happen really fast, especially with hardships. Sometimes hardships happen really back to back, and sometimes you just feel like you're losing a sense of you, a sense of reality, a sense of the fact that, oh my God, are you serious? I have to wake up and go to school tomorrow? I have to go to work tomorrow, and this just happened at home? Like, it's really hard. And in those moments, and if anyone is in that moment right now, I'm telling you, don't force yourself to like the things you liked before or to force yourself to do the things you did before, right? I think hardships come and they change you every time. Some hardships are not that big, and then some are very big. And I think that it doesn't matter how long they last, whether it's a year or a week. When something is meant to come into your life to change you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has decreed that, then it's going to change you. It doesn't matter what time frame. It's going to change you. And when it changes you, you have to understand that changing is something that actively happens, right? And you're going to see those active changes in your day-to-day life, right? Saying I changed and nothing has changed in my day-to-day life, maybe I changed inside. But for the most degree, when somebody changes, a lot of things change outside as well. I feel like it's really hard for me to believe that if someone changed, they're not doing anything to change their environment, right? Like, if you had a bad group of friends that stopped you from praying, and now inside you've changed and you decide that you want to start praying, that's great. You should start praying, but you should also get rid of that group of friends. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with, like, you know, whether you're like in some circumstance you shouldn't be in doing something haram, like you feel like it's wrong inside. That's great that you're changing inside and understanding that's wrong. But until you don't do something physically, things are still going to be the same. And this is in positive situations and in negative situations. Change is not always a bad thing. But when hardships come, we look at change as a bad thing. At times, you're just growing more older, more mature, and maybe for some time, things might feel a bit dull and you might hate everything that once made you super happy or that you love to do or got your head out of just the cloud that you live in. But over time, you will discover what kind of makes you feel like you. And especially this time of year, don't feel like you have to force yourself to know now. Like right now, I don't have anything that I'm like necessarily, putting a resolution on besides what I share with you guys. Now, I want to work out more, which I already am doing. So I just want to continue doing that. But again, I'm not forcing myself to do drastic things. I feel like setting unhealthy resolutions only triggers you to have an unhealthy year. When you set up resolutions that you know you're not going to go through, or right now you're just feeling too drained and tired from this year, and you're forcing yourself to set up a resolution because you're seeing everyone else do it, you're going to do it for 2 weeks and fall into a relentless guilt cycle in January, 2 weeks in, and thinking that you can't get anything done and you lack accountability when the entire time maybe it wasn't the moment right now to set that goal. There's a time for everything. There's a time for everything, right? I'm not going to set up a goal right now for me to become something or do something when I know that right now it's not physically possible in my schedule. I'm not going to set up like this goal, theoretically, let's just say, that I want to be super active on social media, like live stream every day, become a full time influencer. I'm not going to set that up for myself. Why? Because that's not possible for me right now. It's not something I want to do. That's not something I have in mind, right? That's not what my plans are. And when you force yourself to set up a goal that it isn't that time for right now, just because you see other people doing it or because you feel you need to give into the hype, you often find yourself in relentless guilt cycles. I want to finish off this episode with a reminder from the book, a gentle reminder, because I was a bit mumble jumble, but I feel like I like this quote a lot and it says it right. Maybe right now your journey isn't about love. Maybe right now your journey is about being alone. Maybe this is the season you're being challenged to learn how to wake up in the middle of the bed and find peace, hope in the quiet, hope in the way you stretch into your life and give yourself permission to take up space within it. Maybe right now you are being shown that you can take care of yourself and that you can depend on the person you've become, that you can be your own home no matter what comes your way. Maybe right now your journey is about redemption. Maybe this is the season you're being challenged to make amends with your heart, to stand up for the vast ways in which it loves, cares, believes in the goodness of vulnerability, expression, and being the person who softens even when the world is not gentle. Right now, you are getting a second chance to trust in it and to forgive yourself for giving it away to those who could not value it. But most importantly, maybe right now you're being called to protect it, to find your way back into your soul. Maybe right now your journey is about hope. And I like that because I think that that's what some people need to hear. You don't need to be or do really outrageous things just because it's the New Year's or just because people are doing new resolutions or anything like that. What you need to do, if you are somebody who's also in a similar boat, is learn and understand that you are your home and make this home the most beautiful place that you can be. Home is not always a place you live in. It's not always somebody else. It shouldn't be somebody else. Your home should be you. You should make yourself your home and love your home. Take care of your home. Decorate your home and make your home the most peaceful place. And whatever that means for you, you do that. You know what makes you happy. You know what brings you peace. You know what makes you sad. And you know what makes you mad. All of those things. You know what you should be doing and what you should avoid. And so if there's anything that I want people to make a resolution of this year, it is to make yourself your home. Because once you do that, you will naturally start to do the things that you know you should be doing. So don't force yourself right now to make very vague and, superficial goals. My goal for y'all and for myself is make yourself your home, however that might be. And if that looks like, doing things that make you more excited, whether that's exercising, whether that's cooking, whether that's journaling, or if that's even greater things like, finding a path that makes you happier in life, finding better relationships, or leaving some relationships. Whatever it is that makes you feel at home, you should do that. I often thought about this month, and I'll leave you off with this note, that if I was a home, cliche, just hang tight with me. If I was a home and little 10-year-old me lived in it, would she feel happy? I think that's important because just because right now you're 20 or 22 or 25 sitting in your bed listening to my podcast and you feel like this is all you are in the moment, there is always a little inner child, inner version of you that demands to be safe, that demands peace, and that demands comfort. And sometimes it's good to listen to that inner child because a lot of us grew up not listening to it. And maybe in that you can find some hope and some peace and some comfort. But I do think it's interesting to think about because we're a lot more vulnerable and kinder and patient when it comes to kids, when it comes to making sure they're safe. But as we grow older, we just grow a little bit more relentless and harsher with ourselves because we're like, oh, I can handle this, times have changed. I'm not a kid anymore. Of course, we know that. But what I'm saying is, same way that you would have treated your younger self or some little kid, with the utmost gentleness is the way that I think you should treat yourself. Because these vicious goals and these vicious things, a lot of times they just put you in vicious cycles of resentment and guilt. Not saying they're all bad, but what I'm saying is in the effort of making yourself feel more like home and in the effort of loving yourself and loving who you are, and that can look like letting go of bad relationships or adding good relationships, whatever it might be very, very gentle with yourself and don't force yourself to do anything. Because at the end of the day, like I always say, you can eat whatever you want, you can be as healthy as you want, you can work out as much as you want, you can do whatever you want. But until you don't find comfort and peace inside of you, nothing's going to change. Nothing's going to change. So it's okay if you have some physical goals set up and whatever that you want to do, go ahead. But don't neglect the one that is all about inside. Because the inside is really what's going to drive you every day. Anyway, this episode was a little bit mumble jumble, but I had like zero thoughts, zero plans for this one. I just came on and talked to you guys to just kind of, have a more relaxed conversation. So I'm so sorry if it was really mumble jumble and I stuttered. Sorry. Please do take care of yourself. Have a great rest of your day. Assalamualaikum.